notes. There you go. Thank you.
Now it says it. Yeah. Okay. Let me share my screen. Okay. Can everybody see that?
Yeah.
Sure.
Looks good.
Let's see. Nope. Did that just mess it up?
Nope.
Okay. There we go. So good morning. My name is Nancy Knopf. I am a career navigator with Kenton County Public Library, and we help all people from beginning job seekers to experienced professionals and people considering a career change. The library offers free education. We have a support group for professionals, and we also have volunteer coaches that help with transition. So all of this is free to job seekers, which makes the whole situation of looking for a job less intimidating and more effective. And what I like to do is connect with more people who can benefit from our services. That's kind of a variation of the pitch that I use when I go to the Covington Business Council every week, because I'm always meeting new people and new business people. And it's everybody in the room has to do 30 seconds. And I want them to know that we serve all people at the Kenton County Public Library, that our resources are free, and that I want to make those connections for the library. And that's really what an elevator pitch is all about, is figuring out how you want to connect, right? Especially with people you don't know. So let's take a look and just discuss a little bit, what is an elevator pitch? So how many of you, how many networking events do you go to a month? Put that in the chat. And Rodney, I'm not sure I'm going to see the chat.
Okay.
Maybe up here. 30 or so. Wow. Okay. Awesome. Good. So, and it's probably not the same audience every time, is it? There's a lot of variation there, right? So why do you think you need a pitch or a rehearsed introduction for all of those networking opportunities? And feel free to just unmute. We've got a pretty small group anyway.
I think the audience is going to be different.
Right?
Begin to build a
Anything else about
relationship.
that?
Say it again, Lamar.
Begin to build a relationship.
Begin to build a relationship, right, right. And if you have a pitch, I mean, it can help to build your network, right? It can help to build referrals. The other thing is you can use a pitch for more than just business. I had somebody who was in my job search class, and I do an elevator pitch class for people who are job seekers. And this person had already acquired a job, but the job was in a new city. So he's moving his whole family to that city. So he was actually crafting an elevator pitch to help him network once he got, you know, to this new company and he got to a new community, because there are things that he wanted to find out were available to him and that he could connect to. So you really can craft a pitch for a lot of different reasons, right? And so tell me some examples of how you're using it. Are there any different ways that you're using it, just like I shared about the job seeker?
I have one.
Okay.
I think it can help you socially.
It can help you socially. Mm-hmm.
If you're in a social setting, you're probably not going to deliver quite the same one, but it gets your brain working, in my opinion, of just learning to, without shyness, introduce yourself. Because
right.
in fact, most people want to know something about the person standing next to them, I think.
Sure.
So, although one thing I learned from my dad, he said, when you meet somebody, and maybe if they don't have an elevator pitch, but he said one of the easiest ways to strike up a conversation is ask them about themselves, because that's the subject they know the most about.
Right.
That's just a theory.
Right. I mean, the idea behind an elevator pitch is really to spark a conversation, right? Or spark an interest.
Mm-hmm.
And if the connection isn't someone who can help you in your business, they may actually know somebody who would be a good connection for you, right?
Yeah.
Jeff makes a good point in the chat. He said he uses his elevator pitch to sort people into 3 different groups: people who need people who need what I offer, people who are interested in what I offer, and people who are not interested in what I offer.
Right. Okay, so I'm having a little challenge here with my screen. I think I'm okay. So I got a lot going on. I'm not used to seeing all the people on the screen at the same time that I'm seeing the presentation. So let's talk about what an elevator pitch is, right? So it's a commercial, right? So when I worked in advertising, you know, Rodney said I have a lot of different experiences. So most of my background was in marketing and advertising management. And then I got a music degree and I had a small business for 10 years, which was a community music-based business where I went into nonprofits and schools and I offered this curriculum. So I had to use my business skills as well as my teaching skills. But I've learned pretty quickly over the years that, you know, clients and people want to say too much about themselves, and in advertising, clients always wanted to stick too much information in a commercial, right? You can't tell all the features and benefits in 30 seconds. Each commercial needs to have a unique selling proposition and a very clear, concise message so that it's memorable. So an elevator pitch, you know, is the same way. It's gonna be a brief message. You know, here's some guidelines, really: 25 to 30 seconds, 80 to 90 words, 8 to 10 sentences. And I feel like 8 to 10 sentences could also be a little long. It just depends on your, you know, sort of the scope of what you're trying to deliver. So it's going to communicate how your business can benefit a client, or just specifically what you're looking for. You know, for a job seeker, it's going to be different than a small business person. And then at a networking event, that is your speech, right? To introduce yourself to potential clients. You know, I feel that if you have a well-rehearsed elevator pitch, it really shows your confidence in taking the lead in a conversation. It can demonstrate your communication skills, and really done well, it can be very impressive to others. It can make an impact where they're going to want to introduce you to other people.
Mm-hmm.
So those are all sort of real key benefits to having a rehearsed elevator pitch. The other thing I want to say about it is it really needs to feel natural. You know, if you script something and you're trying to memorize it, but it doesn't really sound like the way you would talk, it's just not going to flow, right? So, and give yourself permission to do a little on the fly, but having the ability to have sort of all those key components already scripted is going to make a difference in you being able to just relax and meet people at networking events. And some of us are more extroverted, some of us are more introverted. And so, you know, taking some of the intimidation factor out of networking will happen if you feel like you've got a speech that's well rehearsed. So the really important thing is you need to practice this out loud. And that means, you know, even maybe rehearsing over Zoom with people, or doing so in front of a mirror. And if you have a spouse that will be kind, you can do that.
Yet to find that.
Or maybe find a buddy, you know, maybe find a buddy that's even in this group that can help you with that speech, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what we're going to do is the first breakout we're going to do is really going to be brainstorming. So, and, you know, a good place to start in figuring out what you want to say in your elevator pitch is just to do some brainstorming. So that way you can kind of figure out what's most important to emphasize when you're making new connections. For me, if you look at bullet number 3 that says, what group of people do I serve? For me, it's really important for me to say that I serve all people at the library, from first-time job seekers to seasoned professionals and people in career transition, because we want the library to be accessible to all people. We have a professional level networking group, and sometimes people think that's the only segment of the that career change population that we serve, but that's not true. Yesterday I worked with a guy who is a truck driver and he's looking for a new position. So it can be anybody. So when you brainstorm, think about some of these questions. So what business are you in? What group of people do you serve? Do you have some major milestones or achievements or something unique about your background that would spark a conversation? Who is your target? I'm in this group, this business council group, and there's a financial planner in my network, and his target is lawyers. And they can be in any stage of their business, but many of them are planning for retirement. So he wrote a whole book and has a podcast that's titled Millionaire Lawyer. He's done a lot to fine tune his message around this. And so that's really going to be a big part of how he delivers his elevator pitch. So is there a niche here that you could be serving or that you might want to take to the next level that you could craft inside your elevator pitch, right? So when you are networking, it's good to know your audience. If there are terms or familiar words that will be beneficial in helping to make that connection with strangers, think about that. What can you add to your message that might resonate? And then the biggie is what's in it for me, right? So what's in it for someone to use your service or to make a purchase from your company? Having that understanding of, if I follow up with you with an appointment, what are my expectations, right? And then think about your competition. What is unique about you? What's unique about the service that you offer and what makes you different? So those are all some different, do you have a product? I wrote down, do your products make people feel happier and healthier? That would be a what's in it for me. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a breakout group. And you are going to go in and do a little brainstorming, but specifically, I want you to discuss what is your unique selling proposition. And then we'll come back and we'll talk about what a few of those are. Sound good?
Perfect.
Good job.
Okay.
Well, maybe if I can get this open. Hold on. I don't know why my Zoom is not playing right now.
I'm now getting a chance to read the chat. Yeah, less is more. It's definitely true.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Breakout rooms are set, guys. It's 9:21. I'll see you guys back here in about 8 minutes. Who is iPhone?
I don't know.
Renette.
Okay.
It's Renette.
I want to make sure I put them in the same room with their picture, if that was the case.
Well, am I crazy today? No. Good morning.
I was muted. I didn't realize that. It's like, where did she go? All right, great. So does anyone want to share what they crafted in the way of a unique selling proposition?
Nobody? Somebody can share. So I don't know how much crafting we got done yet, right? But when Adrian was talking a little bit about what he was doing, and I think Julie made some good points, right? It's looking at other people that are doing what we're doing can help us kind of understand how we make ourselves unique in that process, right? And so I think that's a big thing. Getting to know who you are is one thing, but also getting to know that competition you put down in number 5 or whatever it was on the list, right? To allow us to better express how we want to be different and why we're different than other people.
So I was in a breakout with Jeff and Vicki, and they were having a very interesting conversation around Vicki's experience and what type of job she's looking for. And Vicki, do you want to say anything about what your key takeaways were?
Couple of things. The who and what and why, the problem that I solve.
making that, more clear in what I've been doing. I'm in a little bit of a unique situation because I'm a registered nurse. Actually, I have my master's in nursing. But the minute I start saying that, especially early when meeting someone, their solution is, oh, well, if you're looking for a job, UC Health is hiring. Oh, have you thought about working in the OR? Have you thought about working in people's homes? So that starts taking people down a totally different path. So I'm actually starting, it's my strength, but I also have to, it's what sets me apart, but I also have to be careful not to let that take over.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. All right, so we have 25 minutes, so I think I'm going to keep going. All right, does that work for everybody?
Yep.
Okay, so what is next is breaking this down, the pitch, into 3 components. All right, so the first part is called the hook. So this is, just telling them who you are.
You're going to share a slide.
Letting them know what you do and show some enthusiasm.
You're not sharing?
Oh, not? How did that happen?
Well, when we went to breakout and I shared on top.
Okay, so do I need to close?
You guys can
this?
see you can see the slide in the breakout room, right?
All right. Let me see, share screen.
Now go back to presentation mode.
I'm trying.
There you go. Well,
Except for I'm going to need to scoot it up. That's interesting. Okay, so here are the 3 components. We're going to start with the hook, right? And you want to tailor your introduction to fit what you want to be known or remembered for. And here are a couple of examples. I started out introducing myself. I'm Nancy Knopf, a career navigator with the Kenton County Public Library. Our workforce development program is ranked in the top 10 among libraries nationwide. That's another little component that I sometimes use in my hook. And then one of the women that I have met through the Covington Business Council, I think she does a really good job with her pitch. So I'm giving you an example of hers too. I'm Melissa Frazier with Waterleaf Solutions. I write business proposals or RFPs, and my niche is government contracting. And I feel like that is very, very tailored to her, obviously her niche, and something she wants to be remembered for. So, got it?
mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the first piece. The second piece is, why should they care? Right? Now you could be more specific and draw in their attention. Maybe it's something that you've been working on or accomplished recently. It could be some expertise that you have that's relevant to what you're seeking in your job search, or that makes your business unique. And so here are a couple examples. We help all people from first-time job seekers to seasoned professionals and people seeking a career change. We offer free education, coaching, and a support group that makes the job search process more effective and less intimidating. So for me, being able to say, okay, if you engage in this free program, it's just going to make this a whole lot easier for you, is certainly something that draws people in. And I usually get like, oh, I'm going to have my son call you as soon as they hear that. And then here's another example. Government agencies are looking to buy your goods and services. But if you want to sell to the government, you must comply with their elaborate and sometimes mystifying procurement process. That's where I come in. So that's the second piece of Melissa's pitch. And the third part is really your purpose, right? If you've made a connection with someone, it's gonna land into a bigger conversation, right? And you need to know what your objective is. So I'm interested in connecting with people who can benefit from our services, right? And with Melissa, she says, I can help you navigate this process and provide your company with a proposal that clearly presents the value you provide. And she has a nice little sign off in helping people also to remember her name, because we don't always remember people's names. If they start out and then they end, it's like, what did she say? So she says that's Melissa Frazier, Waterleaf Solutions turn proposals into wins, right? So know your objective. Are you trying to get a business card? Are you trying to get a referral? Are you trying to get an appointment? You know, just let them know. That's the point of doing the networking, right? But also being prepared for follow-up questions. So again, with job seekers, this might be when someone would ask them why they're looking for a job. And you don't want to be defensive or share something negative about a past employer. So, but it is an opportunity to talk about what you want to do next in your career. You know, think about your business, you know, what sort of questions might you get? And then it's an opportunity to tell a story. You know, you've probably got some tremendous stories about successes or again, back to accomplishments. So be prepared to tell an engaging story. So those are the 3 pieces, but then there's also just the presenting yourself in general, right? So you craft all these different components, but research studies show that your words are only a small part of your communication. So when you practice your pitch, you need to do so thinking about not just what am I saying, but what am I doing non-verbally? If 55% of making that connection with somebody is non-verbal, you better smile, right? You need to bring some energy to the conversation, right? And then 38% is vocal variety. So this is not being monotone. This is adding some inflection. It is not rambling, you know, and maybe you need to interject some pauses. Sometimes I talk too fast, right? So doing some, you know, just maybe recording yourself. You can go on Zoom and practice with a friend and just see, how do I come across in these other areas, the nonverbal, the vocal variety. If only 7% of it is the words, doesn't mean the words are less important. It's just that there's a lot of going on in the way you present yourself. It's your posture, it's your hand gestures, you know, it's your facial expressions, and honestly, it's your energy. And for, you know, again, for job seekers, I think this is really challenging when you're doing interviews over Zoom, right? You don't get that same sense that you do when you're in the room with somebody, but it is something you can practice. So looking at, how do I do this online versus how do I do this in person, right? Don't speak too fast, don't ramble. And if you are somebody who generally gets nervous, you know, the best advice is just to, you know, slow yourself down and breathe, right? It's really an important part of your communication. All right, so any thoughts on this? Any like ahas or comments that you want to make about the 3 components?
Nancy, on the nonverbal part, maybe you could elaborate a little bit on body language. That's important in person. It seems to me also be important on virtual meetings. One of the things I've noticed, and I have a question. Am I looking at you right now? Yes or no?
Well, you're small on the screen, but it looks like you are.
Okay. Many times in a virtual meeting, I see people looking down, and it's because
Right.
the orientation of their camera. Just a thought, and that can be corrected, etc., with a little piece of hardware. But anyway, what about body language?
Well, I can't say that I'm a body language expert, but I certainly notice when people are more open and you're not slouching, right? Certainly, as you said, looking directly into the camera, you know, and just using your whole body. You know, one of the tips that I got from a professional presenter, and I'm not doing it today, was to present on Zoom standing up. That if you are using your whole body, it makes a difference than just sitting in a chair. So that is one way. If you're somebody who tends to sort of not have energy, that might be a way to change things, right?
Good.
Okay, so let's do one more breakout room. And with this information in mind, if you have if you have an elevator pitch that you've already, put together, maybe you can look at it in the group and fine tune it a little bit or practice it.
Perfect. So I got 9:43, guys. I'm going to open up the rooms. I will see you back here in about 10 minutes.
He's asking me for a book recommendation.
Who is?
Somebody in the chat.
Jeffrey. All right.
Okay, I'm gonna go join a room. I think I will do 3, all right?
Okay.
So when I come back, I'll have to reshare, is that right?
You might not, because I'm not going to share this time. They're doing is doing their elevator pitches. I wanted to share that other slide so they had something kind of in their mind what they were thinking about, right? When they were in there. So you're going to 3. I'm going to go to 5. There's only 3. It says 4, but there's only 3 people in there because Rynette's on her computer and her phone. So.
Hello.
It's all yours again, Nancy, and you're not sharing currently, so.
And you're muted, Nancy.
Morning, Joe.
All
Unmute.
right.
Nancy.
So you're saying I'm not sharing again?
Correct.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. How about now?
There you go.
There you go.
Woo! So that's interesting that it disappears during the breakout groups. So, okay. All right, so here's just a kind of a checklist for fine tuning. Those different components we discussed, hopefully they're helpful. For some people, an elevator pitch comes pretty naturally, and for others, it really kind of helps to work through the different pieces. And then, look at how you can make powerful sentences, but eliminate a lot of unnecessary words and connect the phrases so that your pitch feels really natural and smooth, and that you answer that question, what's in it for me, or what's in it for the people that you're trying to connect with. I think everybody here, for the most part, is very experienced in their elevator pitch, but I also heard in some breakout groups where some folks needed some coaching. And it was really great to hear the interaction among you all. So were there any key takeaways from today's presentation, or is there a pitch that you fine-tuned that you want to share?
I have a request. So I'm sorry, Fred, go ahead.
No, well, I think consensus that came out of our last group was that understanding or knowing, getting some understanding of your audience. We chatted a little bit about online versus in person, and I thought that was an important point, that depending upon your audience, that is going to push you in one of several directions you may need to go to gain their attention.
Good.
Yeah. Jeff, what was your request?
So Ray had asked me at a previous meeting, what do you say when the person is interested in a conversation, but it's not the right, how do you redirect the conversation? Ray, do you remember what my advice to you was? Maybe he's not able to respond.
Yes, I do remember what your advice was.
And you said it worked. You said it worked.
Yes, it did. It did work.
You want to share it with people?
Yes. This is not verbatim, but it is. I just redirected the conversation to set up a time to meet and chat and further discuss kind of what I did, and yeah, it worked like a charm.
And see if there's a way you can possibly help them. It may be that they're not the right person, but they think they are, and you just need to use that time to qualify them, pre-qualify them.
Right. Yeah.
So your ask can be, I'd love an introduction, but this is not the time and place to have that conversation. So when can we talk? So depending on the situation, you may not have an opportunity to continue a conversation where you are. That's all my point was.
So Dave made some interesting points in our breakout group. Dave, do you want to share anything about specifically the issue of understanding first?
I'll let you, you're our speaker. Go ahead, because no, seriously, it resonated with you. So share what was important to you.
Just that, you know, building the connection is just having, being able to communicate in a way that they really understand what it is that your business or your unique selling proposition or, you know, what you're trying to achieve. Is that what you meant, Dave?
Actually, it was the other way around. Doing the homework up front to fully, much like Fred was, knowing what the need of the other person was and to have your homework so that you can provide value. And the other side of it was understanding personalities. Nancy has her Strength Finders 5 keys on her website, whether it's Strength Finders or whether it's DISC. If you match up well, you're going to have a great first meeting because you're in sync. If you're not, you just need to be able to understand it and move again to their needs. It's back to the know, like, and trust. That's really the message there. Understand first, pitch later.
Well, I agree with that, but most of the time, if you're at the whole point of the elevator pitch and the way we're presenting it today is that you're meeting people you don't know anything about.
That's true, but you can ask enough questions up front and you follow it up with a second. Hi, great to meet you at Coffee Connect.
Sure.
Looked at your website, see that you're not only a librarian or work in a library and do these things, you know, and then you tie it back. You don't have to, usually in sales, it's what, only 3% need what you want when you pitch the first time. So you realize if you have that conversation, it's just back to, I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm just trying to say, Dave's somebody that I'd like to spend more time with. That's right. That's the issue. Yeah. That's what I go for.
Yeah. I think the other thing from the research standpoint or the homework standpoint that Dave was talking about, right? Just kind of understanding the purpose and demand of the group, right? Whether it be Coffee Connect or some job seekers group or whatever, right? When you understand the purpose of the group, you get at least a little bit of a fill-in as far as why that individual might be there, right? And asking those simple questions like, what are you hoping to get out of today, might actually reveal how you're going to be able to help them anyway.
Sure, makes sense.
And I share one point. Instead of selling, put service them. How can I, with that attitude of serving the other person rather than coming thinking you're selling if you get away from that, because we want to connect with people and people want to connect too. We're all human. And so if you can go into their world and say, I'm looking what's in your interest, and to that attitude, you know.
So I never view the elevator pitch as a sales pitch. I view it as an opportunity to connect, and that if you really do connect, it will spark a bigger conversation. That's why having those, you know, having your stories and having some things that would be natural follow-ups when you make that connection.
You're not buying a mattress off the commercial you've seen on TV, right? You want to lay in the bed first, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's a bad example. You know what I'm talking about.
I want to thank everybody because the only time I've ever done this presentation has always been for job seekers. So this was a chance to see if there's a way to craft it a little bit better for small businesses. And I learned a lot from you all today too, in terms of maybe the kinds of things that you're looking for. It might enhance the content, and feel free to email me any ideas or suggestions. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Nancy. Thank you, Nancy, for your time.
Give it up for Nancy, everyone. Guys, this is a workshop and a topic, right, that I think we can't ever revisit enough, right? And I love Cleveland Area Networking Group, and I'll put a shout out to Jeff and Lamar and Sue and all the guys up there, right? Because every week we get an opportunity to practice this, and we actually take time to kind of critique, right, a little bit of that elevator pitch and stuff. So in doing so and going there every week, right, one of the things that Nancy mentioned earlier was practice it out loud, right? It's that weekly devotion to that group that allows you to kind of refine it and allow other people to have some kind of say at what might feel good to them or what might not feel good to them. So we're going to keep going on here. As you just seen there, I eliminated Eva from next week's conversation because she said she is not going to be available to do it. So we actually have an opening next weekend if somebody wants to jump in there. If not, I'll figure out something for the 16th. Beyond that, we've got Jill. Jill, we got to figure out what topic. We got to refine that TBD to whatever it's going to be. And then rounding out our last day of the month, right, we've got Dave coming on with some friends of his talking about the power of giving, guys. Looking forward to really that last session. I think you guys are going to find out that there's some amazing things going on around the world, and hopefully it's going to spark you to go do some amazing things as well. I'm going to stop sharing right there. Listen, hopefully everybody had a productive day this morning, whether that be learning how to craft a better elevator pitch for yourself, right? Or just giving to others, right? In the advice and wisdom and critique that we carried on with. And it always is a great pleasure and honor to sit here and learn from each of you as well, learn with you. So please go out there and continue to learn this week, to continue to grow, right? If you're not growing, I forget who said this, it might've been Art Williams, right? If you're not growing, you're what? You're dying, right? You're dying. And none of us are ready to die, so let's get out there and grow together. Have a great week, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you,
Take care,
everybody.
Rodney.